Greetings Midcoast Ukes, Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new tutorial. This is part 2 of Codfish Ball. Last time we talked about the basic chords, the open chords, some nice strums that you could possibly do. And I think we covered the intro and the verses, but we've yet to do the bridge. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the bridge today. And as promised, a couple of up the neck chords, maybe not every single possibility. That would be too long of a tutorial, but I do want to show you a couple of ways to do some of the chords up the neck, some especially useful and not too hard to grab ways. So talking about the bridge, let's go over the lyrics first. We have Finnin' Hattie led the eels through an Irish reel. And then the catfish is a dancing man, but he can't can like the sardine can. So a lot of puns and plays on words and kind of corny jokes there, but it's kind of cool in a way too. So anyway, the way that those lyrics interact with the chords is a little bit difficult. So I kind of recommend getting the chords down first, get the actual chord changes in the strum down, and then you can put those lyrics on top of it, and it'll be a lot easier to handle. But don't try to learn both at once. That's just too much. It's usually not a good idea to learn the singing part of a song at the same time as the chords and the strum, unless it's a very, very simple song. You Are My Sunshine or something like that. That's a different story. But for a song like this, you should kind of separate them. So I just went over the lyrics with you a little bit. You can read them right off your song sheet as I'm doing right now. Finnin' Hattie lead the eels through an Irish reel. The catfish is a dancing man, but he can't can like the sardines can. So that bridge, it's 2 lines. It goes by quickly, but there's a lot of chord action happening there. You have an F chord going to a D minor chord 4 times, 2 strums apiece or 2 beats apiece. And that's a fairly easy chord change. I know D minor isn't an easy chord for a lot of people, but when you look at it, it's just 1 more finger than an F chord. It's basically an F chord with 1 extra finger added. So let's look at an F chord, of course, 2 0 1 0. I assume you all know F by now. That's like one of the early chords you learn in your beginner stage of learning the ukulele. So hopefully you're confident with F. And if you are, good. You're in good shape. You have a nice bass to go from. To get to D minor, all you have to do is take that F chord and leave everything down. Leave your first and second fingers exactly where they are. And just add your third finger, your ring finger, to the C string 2nd fret. And that magically turns it into a D minor chord. That's a pretty cool trick. It's used in this song. It's used in tons and tons of other songs too. I might even have a whole video on that, a whole tutorial on the F to D minor trick. But anyway, D minor might not be the easiest chord in the world. You might have a little bit of a tough time putting your 2nd and 3rd fingers on the same fret like that on adjacent strings, but still, you if you get used to that, if you get used to kind of angling your fingers and crowding them into that little cramped space, it'll be fine. And then, believe it or not, after a while, D minor becomes just as easy as any other chord. It's not a difficult chord. So yeah, you should be practicing your F to D minor chord change so you can do this. Finnin' Hattie lead the eels through an Irish reel. So that takes care of the first line of the bridge. It's just F to D minor 4 times. And then we get to the catfish part, and that's D7. 2 ways to do a D7, or at least 2 ways that are in this position of the ukulele. You have 2 0 2 0, the easiest way. But for those of you that want something a little different, the bar chord version, 2 2 2 3, totally gives you a brighter and kind of a bluesier sound. They're both good. They're both very good and useful D7s. You might have noticed I kind of did a little bit of both. I did the 2 0 2 0 D7, but then I added my pinky to it to get a little bit of flavor of the other version. So I have all my little custom ways that I do these things, and I'll leave it to you to find yours. But either D7 is acceptable or both. And so that just leads to a G7 chord and then a no chord where he can't can like the sardine can. We're just not even strumming there. So that should be percussion and singing, but not ukulele at that point. So D7, you'll find your way. You'll find which is comfortable for you. I encourage you to explore both of those. But if the bar chord way is too hard, that's okay. You don't have to do it. The 2-0-2-0 way is perfectly acceptable for this and many other situations. So that's it. It's kind of an easy bridge when it comes down to it. Here it is again. That's it. That's when we go back to a verse, in this case verse 3. Tune is trucking left and right, mini moochin', what a night. There won't be a hook in sight at the Codfish Ball. More corny but very funny lyrics, all kinds of puns and plays on words. So that third verse comes right out of the bridge. So you have to be prepared to get from the bridge into the verse. And that's something that we're always needing to be mindful of and to include in our practice sessions, is not just the separate parts of a song, but running the parts together, making the transition from one part to the next. So let's do that now. Let's practice doing the bridge, the Finn and Hattie part. And let's try to see if we can go all the way into the tuna's truckin' part, the verse 3, and right through, all the way to the instrumental. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Finn and Hattie leads and heels through an Irish reel. Catfish is a dancing man, and can like the sardine can. Tuna trucking left and right, mini moochin', what a night. There won't be a hook in sight at the Codfish Ball. Not the smoothest job of singing, but hopefully that gave you an idea of how to get from one part to the next. That shows I need a little bit of practice. I can do the ukulele parts fine, but I need a little practice singing that he can like the sardine can, and then getting into tunas trucking left and right. So I'll practice that. I'll get that together before our jam tomorrow night. So the other thing is that when you have a no chord, yes, you're done playing at that point. You're just singing or you're just playing percussion, but you have to count. You cannot stop counting. So you'd want to go, catfish is a dancing man, body 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know where you are. You don't have to actually count out loud. That would mean you're not singing. You're not singing the lyrics, but you should, at least in the back of your mind, be keeping track of where you are beat-wise. It's important to keep that beat going. All right, so that is basically the bridge section of the song. So I had promised that we would talk about some of the up the neck chords that go with this song, and I'd like to look at a couple of those today. The two most important ones would be the C and the G7 of this song. C can be done like this. It can be 5, 4, 3, 3. And that's a bar chord. My pointer finger, my index finger, is covering both the E and the A strings, known as a half bar. When you cover half the strings of your ukulele with a single finger, it's a half bar. So that is the way that I do a C chord in this song. I like to use that one because you can slide into it. So that's kind of a cool thing. But also it has a higher pitch to it as opposed to, which has a lower pitch. It has some lower notes in it. They're both great. Either C is going to work. But if you're interested in these up the neck chords, try that C. Try your 5, 4, 3, 3 C chord. And then for G7, this is a great one. This is not a bar chord. It's just an up the neck one that uses all 4 fingers. But it goes 4, 5, 3, 5. This is an incredibly useful G7. After learning this, I started incorporating it into my own playing, and now I find that I hardly can avoid it. It's become a huge part of my playing. Almost instinctively, when I see G7 on a song sheet, I know that I can go either with the traditional easy G7 or this slightly harder, brighter G7. So it's become such a part of my playing that it's almost intuitive when I go to that or when I go to the regular G7. So using those two chords in the verse would sound like this. Say verse 1, for instance. Come along and follow me to the bottom of the sea. We'll join in a jamboree at the Codfish Ball. So that can really make a nice alternative to using open chords, which are perfectly okay too. Come along and follow me to the bottom of the sea. We'll join in the jamboree at the Codfish Ball. The open chords are a little fuller. They make your ukulele ring a little bit more, produce more volume and sound. The up the neck chords are nice because you can make them short and get a jazzier, swingier sound. And they're just higher pitched, which for some of you, you might prefer. So there's no right, there's no wrong, they're all good. The more chords you know and the more ways you know to do chords, the better. All right, Midcoast Ukers, I hope you enjoyed this little look at the second half of Codfish Ball, and I look forward to jamming with you all tomorrow evening. And I will catch you later. Bye-bye.